Hello my crafty peeps, it's Cheyenne from thePixieCrafter.com. We're going to be making a birthday card today using the Happy Birthday Gorgeous stamp set from Stampin' Up! I love the font and the images in this set. It's just right up my alley. It's kind of like that vintagey feel, and it's fun. I love it. We're going to be doing some heat embossing as well, a little bit of a heat emboss resist sort of technique, and I've also got the new label punch from the holiday catalog. I'm going to be using Whisper White cardstock in regular and thick because our card base is going to be the thick Whisper White. And there it is. It's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2 to make your standard A2 card. Now let's go over our stamp colors. We're going to use Pear Pizzazz, some Calypso Coral, Powder Pink, Peekaboo Peach, Flirty Flamingo, and I think that's all. So I love this color palette with this. I don't know why, but I'm always drawn to the pinks and the orange with this stamp set. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and use our embossing buddy on our cardstock, and we're going to use that Make-A-Wish stamp to go ahead and stamp it on in Versamark ink. Then I've got Stampendous Detail White embossing powder. This is old from my stash, and I just thought I'd reuse it and give it a try. Sprinkle it over. And then we're going to use our heat tool to heat set it. Remember to let your heat tool heat up a little bit before you bring it to your project. The embossing powder will melt so much faster and there will be less warping going on. I do have to say that sometimes watching embossing powder melt is kind of like watching paint dry or grass grow. It can be rather magical once it actually starts to melt. And there you can see it's got that extra shine now that it's all melty. And let's get to stamping. The first thing I'm going to do is take the solid image from that smallest flower, and we're going to go ahead and get that stamped on with some powder pink. I love how soft this pink is, and I'm just going to stamp it randomly throughout. And then I'm going to clean off my stamp, and we're going to use Peekaboo Peach to get some stamping in. I'm going to do some full strength, and then I'm going to go back in some and do them like a second generation stamping. So I'm going to stamp off one and then come back to it. I just want to make sure there's enough flowers there so that it's filled in and you can actually see that sentiment in white. Like, you want to make sure there's enough color behind it for that white to stand out from the background. Now it's time to stamp over the top part of it. So I've got Flirty Flamingo that I am stamping over the powder pink, and I'm going to use Calypso Coral to stamp over the Peekaboo Peach. I'm going to use full strength with the Peekaboo Peach that I did full strength, and I'm going to use the second generation on the second generation Peekaboo Peach. And it's just going to, I love the look of these flowers. They're gorgeous. And you can see I wasn't paying attention to my stamping because I was just kind of like slopping it all on, and I got a little bit of ink on. So I'm using my mono sand eraser to kind of get that up. I think it's more meant for like little fingerprints, not the not as much of a splotch as I was trying to erase, but it did eventually work. And then I took the Pear Pizzazz and I'm just stamping that little leaf just in random places, just kind of trying to fill in everything and get that nice green color throughout. And I love this little leaf double stamped like that in like a little cluster. It's so pretty. And there we go. We're going to use that label and pop it out. I love this label. It's so nice. I can use it for so many different things. Then I decided, you know what, something needs to happen on the edges. So I'm using my Flirty Flamingo to ink around the edges. And this is where the corner of the ink pad comes in handy. And then I'm going to decide it needs more. So I'm grabbing my blender pen from Stampin' Up! And I'm just going to kind of watercolor the background just a little bit, just to add a little bit more something to it. I thought about using like So Saffron or maybe even like a Tempting Turquoise to pop it out, but I decided let's keep with our color palette. And now let's do some of the watercoloring technique on the front of our card. So I've got one of my big acrylic blocks from Stampin' Up! And the Pear Pizzazz ink pad, and I'm going to just ink right on it. And I'm okay that it's not covering all of it because I want this to be distressed and watercolored. So I've got that on, and then I'm going to take some of my Pearl Mister, my DIY Pearl Mister, and I'm going to go ahead and mist that on and just stamp it down onto the front. I'm going to give it a good push, and then I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let it set. Do not take the acrylic block off yet. Don't do it. Trust me on this. Now, while that's drying, let's do some other things. So I take the little dotted balloon from the stamp set, the Hello Gorgeous stamp set, and I'm stamping it in Tempting Turquoise. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it out, because at first I was thinking it would be cute to have some of these little balloon shapes popping up behind the tag. It's going to change, but I thought for now, you know what, I really like that, and I do love like the look of this. So I fussy cut those out, and I decide it needs more, so I take my Wink of Stella and I'm going to go ahead and Wink of Stella everything, because everything has to be shimmery and glittery. And now I'm kind of playing around with placement, and I realized, you know what, I need more. So I went and took a piece of Whisper White. I used the largest oval in these stitched layers framelits from Stampin' Up, and I cut that out. And then I have just this gorgeous gold paper just from my stash, and I went ahead and used the Swirly Scribbles thinlits, so and cut those out. So having fun with there. And you see, I took those balloons and I'm like, no balloons, we need more flowers. So that's the Petite Petal Punch. That's retired, I'm sorry, but I just thought that was the perfect size flower for this. I'm going to pop them up. And remember, they've got the Wink of Stella on them, so they've got that shimmer and shine. Now let's take some of our Scotch Tacky Glue. I've rediscovered this, and it's wonderful. And I love these little bottles from Doris, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. And then I'm going to take the Scotch glue, and I'm going to glue the flowers onto it as well. And then I'm going to pop it all up in dimensionals, and we're going to pop it onto our little oval tag that we are making. And did you notice that I used one of my Jelly Roll pens to kind of pop up the center of those flowers to give it more 3-dimension? And look, there is our watercolor. All of that ink absorbed into the cardstock. That is why you keep the acrylic block on, because it allows time for all of that ink to just seep in, and it's fantastic. I love how that looks, but it needs more. That is a Tim Holtz stamp. It's from the, I believe it's called French Market stamp set. I picked it up at Michael's, and I'm just using some Whisper White craft ink from Stampin' Up to just pop that on. You can't really see it, but it gives a little extra texture. And then I've got this other stamp that I'm sure I got from Michael's. I can't remember from what set it's from, but it's just a nice little soft loopy script, and I'm going to use soft suede because it's a little warm, and I'm going to use that, and I'm going to stamp that all across, so it almost looks like there's a letter going on behind, like a love letter or happy birthday letter, whatever. There's some sort of fun correspondence. And I'm doing multiple generation stamping, so it's not all full strength, and I love the way that looks, and it's kind of messy and random, and that's perfect. And then I decide that, you know, it needs a little something more than this. So I go into my scraps, and I'm like, you know what, there's some of the Petal Garden Project Life cards. No, they're not Project Life, they're Memories and More cards. And so I'm like, you know what, I need one. I do. So I go into my stash and I pull out one with this beautiful Calypso Coral image on it, this pattern on it, and I'm going to go ahead and rip that a little bit just to give it some texture, and I'm going to put that behind the card just like that. There we go. You see it. Not sure what happened to the rest of it, but we'll find it later. And this is when I realized that I did not push the record button at the correct time. So I actually thought that this wasn't recording anymore, and I went ahead and I turned off the light and, you know, let the Nuvo drops dry that I just put on. I thought I was recording me putting on the Nuvo drops, but it turns out that I wasn't. But I recorded this. So this is fascinating, isn't it? So yes, I used the glitter Nuvo drops in White Blizzard, pop those into the center of the flower, and I did a couple little dots along the outside of the card. The glitter drops, I find, especially in White Blizzard, they they're just going to add a little bit of glitter to the project. I still am experimenting with the Nuvo drops, but so far I love them, and I know that I want more because they are pretty awesome. They are my love. They might be my new life. I want to put them on everything and all over everything. But anyway, enough of that. Let's finish up the card, shall we? And the lights are back on, so we must be rolling. Okay, so I just took the Happy Birthday sentiment from the Hello Gorgeous stamp set, and I used Calypso Coral to stamp that on the inside of the card. And then I took the same colors, the same thing we did with the flowers on the front, on the tag, and I just used the larger flower and the outline leaf to go ahead and put some in the corner, just to finish it off a little bit. I'm trying to get better at finishing off the inside of my cards. So it's just fun. It's fun. It adds that little extra something. Oh, I love the way this card turned out. It makes me happy. I love the technique of it. It's so much fun, and it's so pretty, and I can't wait to send this off to someone who has a birthday coming up, and it'll be just wonderful. Oh, that's it for today's tutorial. Want to see more? Here's a couple videos that might interest you. And visit my website and blog for more project ideas and inspiration, and to keep up to date on everything happening in the PixieCrafter world. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting! Bye!